another live reaction. Um, Happy birthday! Happy birthday to the people out there whose birthday it is today. Um, you know, I'm excited about the football season. Football season's going on. Detroit Lions won, so happy about that. But hopefully everybody's doing good. Hopefully nothing crazy's been going on. Everybody's been well. But this is about T-Bait. So this is going to be about T-Bait, chapter 444. I missed out on. I haven't read. All my reactions are always genuine, right? So I haven't read 444 or 445. So I think what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna go through 444 today, and I should have some time tomorrow to go through 445. So 444 today, and then I'm gonna do 445 tomorrow, and they're both gonna be in the afternoon. So be expecting for me to go live again tomorrow, maybe around this time, maybe around like 6 or 7, something like that. It all depends on when I'm done driving. But as you can see, back on the road again. But I'm kind of excited though. I'm excited about the new chapter. You know, what's going to happen going forward, because with the way that things had left off on last chapter, with Agrona saying what he said about with Arthur, like I said, I think it's kind of some bullshit. I honestly do. I think that it's his way of like trying to show like, oh, this is all part of my plan. You know, I plan for, you know, to be able to use Arthur, and, you know, now you guys need each other, even though you said last time that he was insignificant, that he didn't matter, you didn't care. But now you see how powerful he is. Now you're just like, okay, now you guys need each other. You need to, I guess, work together to defeat Kez's, I guess, help him take over. I don't know. I don't know what Arthur's going to think about that, considering everything that happened. You know, I'm pretty sure Arthur blames Agrona for his dad's death, right? Because they would have never invaded and done all that shit with the monsters and stuff, and his dad would have never died if Agrona wasn't trying to capture or take over that Catherine. So he probably blames him for that. Also, I mean, it's Kez's fault that Renia ended up dying, even though Renia is going to die anyway. All the people who died, you know, from Tacy, Fayrith died from Tacy. That's all Kez's, you know. So it's a lot of blame. It's a lot of blame to go around. But I think that if Agrona sends some type of messenger or something like that, I don't know, man. But so that had happened. That chapter was kind of okay. It was kind of okay. Agrona, you know, talking about, you know, his plan is now, kind of made it a lot more interesting of a chapter. But Cecilia's just such a terrible character. But let's just get into the chapter. Now, it said that the chapter is called Scarred. So I wonder what that actually means. I wonder if there's like some lasting damages from the fight, or maybe something else happened. I'm not sure. But I'm excited though. I'm excited. So like I said before, today, this chapter 444, tomorrow is gonna be 445, and then I would have caught up. So I wasn't gonna be, you know, I wasn't about to be off and not making videos about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like, you know, 4 or 5 chapters behind. So definitely gonna catch up. All right, Arthur, we getting back to our boy Arthur now, so that's cool. No more fucking Cecilia. Anyway, Scarred. Rolling into my back, I turned away from where the Tempest War portal had vanished. So this is coming right back from their fight with Cecilia, and him like barely being able to make it. Oh yeah, the scar on his core. That's what the chapter's gonna be about. But it should heal though. There shouldn't be any permanent damage. Ether has never shown to cause him any sort of permanent damage. Something that he couldn't heal from. So I'll be surprised if he can't heal. Anyway, Rolling onto my back, I turned away from where the Tempest Warp portal had vanished. Something nearby was issuing a faint but worrying hum as dim light spilled across the garden. The Tempest Warp itself, it was glowing faintly and putting off enough heat that it had withered the flowers it had crushed only seconds ago. I stared at the artifact for far too long. Struggling to comprehend, I wasn't really thinking about the Tempest Warp at all. Rather, my mind was split between the battlefield and Nirmala and the core in my sternum. The Nirmala, the artifact was distracting. It's hard. I'm kind of losing track. The artifact was a distracting shroud to toss over the rest of my thoughts. I wasn't ready to start processing everything that had just happened. There was movement from the corner of my eye, and Sylvia appeared beside me. She couldn't disguise her fear. Her hands pressed against my side where my own ether blade had sliced through me. Driven by the concentration of Cecilia's mana, Sylvie's eyes squeezed tightly shut, and I sensed her mind probing my own, my womb, my core. I could feel her searching for the Vivim arts she learned in Ephiodus, just like how I could feel the emptiness of her magic's response. Her ether affinity had changed. Her insight had been rewritten. I grabbed her hands, and my eyes flew open, startled. I'm certain I'll be fine. I just need a moment to heal. But your core, what if I've healed from a lot worse? I said out loud. A sentiment that, and it's true though. It's true. He's healed from a whole lot worse injuries. So, I mean, I don't think this is gonna be. But it says scarred though. We'll see. I healed from a lot worse. I said out loud. A sentiment that was undercut when the effort to speak sent me into a coughing fit. And he's so fucked up he can't even talk. Sheesh. And I spit up a mouthful of blood. It's Chul unconscious, she said softly. Her voice tight with worry. Backlash, I think, from trying to hold his phoenix form. I nodded. The motion sent fingers of pain clawing through me. Light flooded. So it's interesting to hear Arthur's concern about Chul. I remember what Mordain said that, I'm leaving him in your care, your responsibility, blah, blah. And Arthur just straight up ignored that shit. Was like, peace. Like, yeah. But, I mean, he definitely seems like he cares about whether Chul's okay. But anyway, so light flooded the yard as the magical spotlights flared from a dozen directions. Wars activated. So, yeah, so Darren and his little, castle and stuff. So they probably all got alerted now, and I want to see what's going to the reaction now from Darren and everything. What was I saying? Where was I? Oh yeah, the wards activated a moment later, shielding the doors and windows of the mansion we've landed in front of. It wasn't long, however, before the front door opened and the ward fell again. Darren Orden stepped out, draped in a robe and rubbing sleep from his eyes, which shone with a slightly wild light. Clearly, we'd woken him. He waved a hand, and the light artifacts glared down on us dim, allowing me to make out a number of faces peering from the mansion's windows. Gray, what's Virtuous teeth? He breathed, rushing across the yard to my side. He looked from my wound to my face, then to my companions, and finally back, his face pale. Come on, let's get you inside. That wound needs... No, I said, forcing myself up onto my knees. I'll be okay. Just need a moment. Okay, let's see what's going to happen with his core, man. It should just heal. His core should just... But listen, okay. It was crazy that he got an injury that was so bad that all of his ether focused on healing his core, and he couldn't use ether anymore. The ether was so focused on healing his core, he couldn't even use ether to activate his God rune. Like, he had to cut and hurt his hand to get the ether to flow there just to be able to activate the rune to take out the Tempest Warp. So, that shit has never happened before. So it's gotta be something special, something happened with that injury, that cut. that made it to where maybe it's a lot more serious than I think. You know? Maybe, I don't know, but he made his own core though. Like, he made his own core made from ether. I don't know. Like, if he can do some shit like that, he should be able to fix his core and it should be able to just heal. It's probably gonna take some time, but it should just heal though. Anyway, where was I at? See, I keep losing track. No, I said forcing myself up into my knees. I just need a moment. My mind moved inward, focusing on my core. The cut across, so the cut across, so I'm trying to picture like what kind of wound is this. So I'm guessing this is a horizontal cut across his core. The cut across his surface was swarming with ether. That's crazy, man. Like, not even, what was his name? Cadell. Cadell couldn't even hurt his core with that like lancing attack. Cadell couldn't even hurt his core. But I mean, Arthur, it's ether. Using ether against ether, that's kind of like what makes sense, you know? It's like having the strongest attack versus having the strongest defense. Who's gonna win? You know, it kind of just depends on. No. What is it called? I think having the strongest attack and also having the strongest defense, the best way to defeat him is to use his attack against him, some shit like that. Anyway, it was something like that was in like Naruto or something, I remember. Anyway, violet particles pressed onto the scratch, where they compacted before melting into the surface of the core. All the while, ether poured out of the core as well, fueling the slow healing. So I wonder, like, is any ether being escaped, or is he just, as all the ether that's coming out of his core just being used, you know? Only a trickle returned. Wait. All the while, ether poured out of the core as well, fueling the slow healing. Only a trickle returned. So, like, ether poured out of his core to heal the wound, and only a trickle returned back to his core. Is that what he's saying? The atmospheric ether gravitating toward my armor before being drawn into the wounded core for purification. The strike to my core had been indirect. The result would not. The resulting wound not enough to pierce the hard exterior. Okay. So it's not. It didn't pierce his exterior. So what? Like the layers? Maybe it injured one of his layers. It had been a long time since I felt the fear of injury. This brought it back in full force. If she had managed a more direct strike, my core might have been crippled. Absorbing my mana. Yeah, this is exactly what we all. Well, I don't say we all, but this is exactly what I had predicted, because she wasn't able to do this until Sylvie's mana. You know, with the purple tinge mana, she used that to be able to control his ether blade. Absorbing my mana must have given her some small insight about the interaction between mana and ether, Sylvie replied, biting her lip. I'm not sure I quite understand what happened, though. Besides Sylvie, Darren's eyes stayed on my side, where the blood continued to flow. She wrapped enough mana around my blade that she was able to force it back on me. I was confused, caught off guard, and when the second burst of mana went off, driving the blade through me, I reacted too slowly. So I guess she just bursted mana out her body, and then that's what caused the blade to injure him. Because I was a little bit confused about that, because I knew that she like controlled the blade, but then it seemed like the final thing that happened was when she burst out that mana, that's when the blade actually went inside of him. So she didn't just like, oh yeah, I'm taking your blade and stabbing you. Like, she was controlling it, and then that burst is what the extra boost that she needed. So anyway, so he said that he was reacting too slowly. I felt the sudden cool comfort in my side as, bit by bit, ether began to trickle away from my core to my wound. I felt the cool comfort in my side as, bit by bit, ether began to trickle away from my core to my wound, stitching together the muscles, bone, and internal organs. The flow of blood began to slow. Okay, so now I see what is going on. So now his ether is finally being able to be used to heal his body now. So he felt a sudden cool comfort as bit by bit ether began to trickle away from the core to my wound. Trickle away from my core to my wound, stitching together the muscles and bones and internal organs. The flow of blood began to slow. Around my core, most of the ether had filled in the scratch, although the healing had left a faint scar behind. That's crazy. So, that don't make sense. How can ether not completely heal and not leave a scar? Like, literally, this motherfucker has had his arms obliterated up to the elbows, had his legs fucked up, dipped himself in lava. Like, he had his heart stabbed, bro. Like, he got stabbed by a rat in his heart and shit, neck sliced, and he has left no scars, nothing to even show that anything has ever happened to him. His arms and his body, everything has always been perfect after ether healed him. But then now all of a sudden his core is leaving a faint scar? Like, why? Why? Around my core, most of the ether had filled in the scratch, although the healing had left a faint scar behind and consumed most of the ether in my core. That is crazy to me. How is it the fact that, Arthur has 3 layers to his core, right? He has 3 layers. His third layers, it took him, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks to even make that layer. That's how much ether he was absorbing. And then you got Chul talking about how he's changed and he's like a mini sun. His fucking core is like a miniature sun. So this motherfucker has oceans and oceans of ether. How does it take almost all his ether just to heal one wound? That's crazy. That's crazy to me. That don't make sense. But what's up? What's up, Lebo? 2 months. Was it 2 months? Damn, it was 2 months? That's a long ass time. Yeah, 2 months. That's even worse. You got fucking 2 months of ether. That's crazy. Appreciate the help on that. I forgot about that. But yeah, like that's wild to me, man. That's wild. If y'all late getting in, so what I said earlier was, so I'm gonna do 444 today, and then I'm gonna do 445 tomorrow. That's my plan. And both of them should be sometime in the afternoon. But appreciate the help, Alex. And what's up, Lebo? So it's kind of crazy to me that all his ether was like drained and exhausted just to heal that wound. But let's see what else. Let's see where else we go. So I filled in the scratch. I forgot where I was at. Oh yeah, so the back of my mind, then the surface of the core itself. I couldn't pull myself away from it, like a soldier staring at a freshly healed wound in the mirror. I mentally prodded the scar tissue. Scar tissue? Leaning into the discomfort as I tried to understand it. Only when the lacerated skin of my side began to heal over did I turn away from the scar. Instead, tentatively reaching for my guide runes, not to activate them, just to ensure they were responsive. Aurora's Requiem tingled on my spine. Then Realmheart burned and brought into sight. The atmospheric mana surrounding us. They worked as expected, although both were heavier than they should have been. Bro, what? Bro, this is some bullshit, bro. I don't like this. Like, this doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I don't think Arthur is gonna be like immortal or anything like that. I'm definitely think that he can live for tens and tens of thousands of years for sure. You know, just like the Asuras. But like, in my mind, the only way Arthur would die would be as if somebody cut his head off, like clean off, or somebody destroyed his core. Because I think that I think that with Arthur's ether core and the way that ether works, because we know what with regular mages that if you destroy their core, they still go on living. They're not like the Asuras where their core is like a function of their body, where like, you know, without it they can't survive. So humans can survive without their core. I don't think Arthur can. I think that with his I don't know though. See, that might not be true, because he was alive and he didn't have a core, right? In the beginning when he woke up. But I think that this ether might have changed him. I think that maybe if his ether core gets destroyed, I think it's going to destroy his body. That's just what I think. So I don't think that Arthur can survive without his core. But like, for the God runes to be impacted by his, first off, his core shouldn't have taken so much for it to heal his core. That's number one. That's what I think. Number two, how is it that he's now slightly crippled from this attack and it left a scar tissue? Like, how is it not completely healed? It don't make any sense. And then now his runes are heavier, so what does that mean? Does that mean that he can't use it at full capacity anymore? That he's now from 100% and he's now at like 95%? Like, that's some bullshit, man. That's some bullshit. All from a ether blade attack to your core that didn't even penetrate the internal shell, like, or the exterior shell. He literally said that it didn't penetrate it. It literally just scarred it, like, just, it's like a slice on your skin. It doesn't go through your arm. It just sliced it. How the fuck does it take all your ether to heal that? I don't get it. So that's what I think about that. But I'm tired and my core is nearly empty. Son. And then another thing too, he's not gonna be able to, because I remember when him and Regis left, they left to go gather ether because it wasn't enough atmospheric ether to fill up their cores and shit. So I mean, he's gonna need to go and leave and go to the relic tombs again and draw in ether to refill. Sign, I released the channel ether and closed my eyes, allowing myself the time necessary to heal. I heard Darren return to his home, likely to inform the children what was happening. Sylvie left my side to check again on Chul, her concern lingering in the back of my mind through our connection. By the time my wound was healed, I felt well and truly exhausted. I couldn't remember my core being so strained in a long time, and certainly not since the formation of its third layer. I would need time to recuperate and absorb ether, much more than the meager atmospheric ether available here. We know this, I just said that. Easing myself to my feet, I opened my eyes and looked again at the Tempest Warp. The hum had subsided, as had the glow of leaking mana. As I pulled the artifact free of the ruined garden bed, I realized that it was warm to the touch. There was a fine crack running down the side of the hammered metal. Curious, is this motherfucker gonna use Aurora's Requiem and it's not gonna be able to heal it completely? Man, this is gonna be some bullshit. It's like, okay, if Arthur is really about to be crippled by this, I just think that this is kind of an ass pull. Because it's like just a way to make Arthur not as strong, to hamper his ability to fight and use ether. Or maybe, okay, another way I could think of it is that maybe it will force Arthur to think of a different way of fighting, or maybe think of a way to be more efficient or like creative with his fighting style. I don't know. You know, it's like when you take away somebody's number one target in football, you force them to throw to other receivers, right? Get other people involved. Be more creative and not just force it to one person. So I guess, you know, it can kind of be like that, you know. But I don't know, man. I don't know. So let's see. I use my meager supply of ether to channel the mana required to activate the device. The scar's itch grew more pronounced. The Tempest Warp responded to my efforts, but it shed light at even that minor application of mana. You won't get more than a use or two out of that now, Darren said, reappearing in his yard in a simple traveling tunic and breeches. When I looked at him, he nodded at the Tempest Warp. They only last so long. Even the powerful ones like that. Not sure that I trusted at all with that crack in it. Smiling, he held out his hand, and I took it firmly. His gaze lowered to where my armor had sealed back over the gash. Glad to see things weren't as bad as they looked. I'm not sure about that yet, I muttered, before scratching myself and returning his smile half-heartedly. Sorry to have stirred up your home. This is the only place I could think of, given the situation we were in. But we can't stay long. I just need to get my companion back on his feet and... Gray, Arthur, there are things you need to know, Darren said, his voice low and urgent, his expression tense. Alaric is here. Yeah. Alaric is here. Wasn't woken by the perimeter alarm, of course, the old drunk, but he should have crawled out of bed and put on a pair of trousers by now. Before you run off, you should hear what he has to say. Okay, cool. I'm glad that he's back. I was wondering, how long he was going to be captured, quote unquote. Darren's serious delivery gave me pause. After a moment's hesitation, I nodded. After retrieving the Tempest warp, we hauled Chul's unconscious body into the house and laid him out on a couch. I left Sylvie to watch over him, and Darren sent his many wards back to their rooms, including their frustrated Briar. When we entered the study, Alaric was already there and had, of course, already poured himself a drink. Behind him, just where I left it, was the active ascension half of the compass. The active ascension half of the compass. Oh, right, his compass. Humming away in merry ignorance of all that had transpired since the last time I used it. Alaric eyed me wryly as I sat down across from him. The exhaustion was pressing in on me from all sides, but I could tell the grizzled ascender was just as tired as me. Old man, I said. Pop, he replied with a snort, taking a fortifying drink, even though he doesn't know that Arthur's fucking what? Shit. 50 in intelligence, some shit like that. He sighed and dug his palm into one eye socket. God damn, what did I just say? One eye socket. So, can I assume it is your return to our fair continent that has kicked up so much, my reading's fucking up. So can I assume it is your return to our fair continent that has kicked up such a shit storm? That is kind of hard to say, yo. That has kicked up such a shit storm. That's a lot of S's. Such a shit storm. What did you mean? What do you mean? I asked, leaning back in my chair and crossing my arms. Alaric threw his hands up somehow, managing not to spill his drink. What do I mean? He says. He glanced at Darren, who only shrugged. Push back, boy. Push back, boy. Counter offenses. High blood's turning on us. Armies springing out of Agrona's puckered venture to retake cities he'd given up on. I'm talking about months' worth of gains lost in a week. Darren was staring down at his hands. Alaric's bloodshot eyes were narrowed as he glared past me into the distance. They were both exhausted and frightened, I realized. Tell me more, I said, leaning forward. Sarah should know what's happening. Alaric scoffed and drained his glass before laughing into a bitter but detailed explanation of the many losses the rebellion had experienced just in the last week. Sarah's force had never been large enough to stage armies and make direct attacks against the sovereigns. They had relied on Sarah's control of Sesklar to maintain any kind of footing. Okay, so the rebellion is going a lot worse than we thought. Outside of Sesklar, the fighting had largely happened in the shadows through spies and agents that Alaric and his connections organized. After Sarah's had retreated to the relic tombs, much of the active work of the rebellion had gone underground. Due to the actions of a few brave high bloods, however, they had gained and kept control of a handful of cities in Trucia, Vekor, and Sesklar. Those cities had been essential staging grounds for other efforts, primarily provisioning. According to Alaric, attempts to retake the cities had been minimal. with the rebellion forces scoring a handful of unexpected victories in the weeks after Sesklar's fall. But in a span of days, these cities have fallen. Okay, so it was only... Okay, so what I'm understanding now is that... so things were going pretty okay. They had those cities well maintained. And then once Arthur came back to help out Sarus and shit, then Agrona made more efforts to take back those cities, and they all fallen. And so now it's worse. Pretty sure a lot of people died. To make matters worse... Wait, where was that? In the span of days, cities have fallen. The High Bloods in control, either calling on their troops to stand down or being executed by loyalist strike teams. To make matters worse, Alaric's network of connections, informants, spies, and operators were being targeted and assassinated. And not one by one, but in fucking droves. He moaned, and his cheeks ruddy beneath his unkept beard. I've had to send my folks running for the hills to hide out. It's hard to make sense of, boy. The way that he says boy, I'm just like, that's kind of how I'm saying it. Like, I had to send my folks running for the hills to hide out. It's hard to make sense of, boy. Like someone threw a Vritra dam switch and unleashed a flood of death. We continued on for a while, Alaric divulging into more specific situations while I listened and attempted to digest it all. In return, I explained what Sarus and I had planned and told them about the events of Nirmala. Shortly before dawn, Chul woke, and he and Sylvie joined us despite my protestinate. How the fuck do I say this word? I think it's
protestation.
Protestation. Yeah, I fucked that whole word. My protestation that he should continue to rest. I've rested too long. This body aches to redeem its pathetic display during the fight. Absolutely, Chul. Pathetic display. I'm glad at least he realizes it. This body itches to redeem its pathetic display during the fight, he said, crestfallen. You were matched poorly, Sylvie chimed in. Had you faced any other scythe, you would have... No, he's right, I cut in. It was pathetic. But so was I. I don't know about that, bro. You was the only reason y'all ain't all get killed. I cut in. It was pathetic. But so was I. The best thing we can do is learn from it, own our mistakes, and get stronger. Grinding his teeth, Chul posted up in the corner of the study and glared around for the remainder of the conversation. The rolling fields visible out in the study window were just turning from black to orange-gray when the first rays of dawn's light, when we were interrupted again. A sudden and rapid banging on the study door made us all jerk around. But before anyone could call for entry, the door burst open and Briar rushed in. Master Darren! Alright, so Briar burst in. What the hell's going on? A broadcast, quickly, from Agrona. Uh-oh, is this Agrona's message to Arthur? We all exchanged a weary glance. Or, is that, yeah, weary glance. Then hurriedly followed her to a sitting room outfitted with a large projection crystal. This way. A sweeping image of the Basilisk Fang Mountains was speeding by across the crystal surface. When I stepped into range of the telepathic field, I heard a wakeful, nervous voice in my head. Repeat, a mandatory message from the High Sovereign himself will be placed in 2 minutes. All Alacrians must listen. I repeat, a mandatory... I stepped back out of the field and gave Darren a curious look. Frowning, he shrugged. Enforced broadcasts aren't unheard of, but they're pretty rare. We didn't even get one after what happened at the Victoria. Okay, so what the hell could Agrona be about to say? I wonder if it's going to be something about... I wonder if it's going to be directed towards Arthur, or maybe it might be something to, like, set up, like, a deal or something. You never know with Agrona. So yeah, the projection artifact just activated itself and started babbling about the mandatory message, Briar added. Her arms crossed as she glared at the projection. So, a message from Agrona Vritra himself. Chul mused as he stared in and out of the telepathic field. If only I could punch his evil face through that crystal artifact. Alari's brows rose as he gave Chul an amused look. I'm starting to see where his strength and weaknesses lie. I smiled faintly. If only we could, Chul. We all waited in silence until the repeating message stopped and the scene melted away. A face appeared across the crystal projection. It really is High Sovereign himself, Briar whispered, a shiver running through her. Agrona appeared... How the fuck do I say this word? Is that a stature?
Austere.
Austere? Let's see, what does this mean? Severe or strict in manner, attitude, or appearance. So he appeared very severe and strict, and something like that with his attitude. But his severity was somewhat undercut by the glittering ornamentation in his horns. He stared out at us from the projection crystal for several seconds before finally speaking. My people of Alacria, he began, his words purposeful and clear. Children of the Vritra, today I speak to you directly, to each and every individual among you. Listen closely and carefully, because my words are for you. He paused again, and I glanced around the room. A handful of teenagers were present, as was Darren's housekeeper, Sorrel. They looked spellbound, all of them. Only Alaric, Chul, and I seemed to be able to keep mental distance from what we were seeing. Even Sylvie was wide-eyed. Her lips parted slightly as she became wrapped up in this vision. I mean, it is her father, by the way. But I could sense her emotions and some of her thoughts, and hers was a very different reason for being so invested. My father, she sent to me. Feeling my mind touch hers, I can't help but wonder. It still seems so unlikely. What could have brought Sylvia Indrath and Agrona Vritra together? Even through the projection, his force of personality was clear. If there had ever been a time before Agrona Vritra had been himself over, had given himself over to his cruel and sociopathic impulses, perhaps it was then that Sylvia had fallen for him. Or perhaps he had always been the same but fooled her into seeing something that wasn't there. I carefully scanned Sylvie's entrampant face. Agrona didn't shy away from manipulating even those closest to him, after all. Though a spell implanted in her egg before she was born had been able to inhabit her body even before Alacria. Wait, let me reread this. I think I'm reading this wrong. Through a spell implanted in her egg before she was born, he had been able to inhabit her body even from Alacria. Okay, that's what it is. So it's talking about him being able to take over her body because of a spell that was implanted. Okay. Even before she was born, that's crazy. It had been a revelation that had nearly broken trust between Sylvia and me, and I could only hope now that her death and rebirth had severed this connection. But it worried me that he had no way to know for sure, or that we had no way to know for sure. For months now, this continent has been divided by the strife of rebellion and civil war, Agrona continued. Rest assured, I hold no ill will towards those of you who have participated in this conflict. Such a contest of wills, whether it be between compatriots, generals, or even sovereigns, will only ever strengthen you as my people in the long run, or as a people in the long run. Conflict is necessary to grow in power. He paused, his scarlet eyes seeming to stare right into me. But strife at the wrong time can also weaken us all, and this is why I am speaking to you now. The gates of Ephiotis has been thrown open, and dragons have marched through. Already, they've countered much of our work in Dicatha, undoing the good you and your blood have fought for, died for. But their violence doesn't extend only to that distant continent. They've shed blood right here in Alacria, at the heart of Atriel. So wait, was it actually the dragons? Agrona's expression hardened. His eyes, I'm talking about, was it actually the dragons, the one that killed the sovereign in that room and took away all the mana? Agrona's expression hardened. His eye, because I thought it was a fourth party, but I was like, it could be the dragons too, but it could be the fourth party. They've shed blood right here in Alacria. Yeah. Agronus' expression hardened, his eyes blazing like fire. A dragon has assassinated sovereign Exeges. I think that's how you say that shit. Before fleeing like a coward in the night. Okay. This could be bullshit. He could be lying and just trying to plant it on the dragons just to give the people a reason to further dislike them. You can't trust anything this motherfucker says. You really can't. His eyes blazed like a fire. Yeah, the dragons assassinated sovereign Exeges before fleeing like a coward in the night. Thousands of witnesses saw the Asura wheeling above his palace, breathing down manna and death. That's a lie, bro. That's a lie. Okay, that's a straight up. At first, I'm just like, okay, he could be lying. That's a straight up lie. There was literally no evidence of anything happening. No fire, no claws, no nothing. It was literally like all their mana just got disintegrated and just taken out of their bodies, and they just got, or their life force just died. Yeah, he is complete and utter bullshit right now, man. He had me for. I'm like, wait, maybe he could be telling the truth. And then I'm just like, nah, there's no fucking way. Breathing death and mana and breathing down mana and death. 100 or more palace staff died with him, helpless against such an onslaught. Regular Alacrians, I mean, that's just so crazy. He tries to use everything to his advantage. Everything. Even defeats and losses, he used it to his advantage. 100 or more palace staff died with him, helpless against such an onslaught. Regular Alacrians burned to dust only for the crime of working in support of a different clan. The war between Alacria and Dicathan is over, and so too must be this conflict between every loyal Alacrian and supporters of Ceres, the Unblooded. The dragons are intent on taking over both Dicathan and Alacria, the same beings that invented the lie of Asuran godhood, those who have long hidden away in Ephiodus and offer only judgment on those they call lessers, providing no aid or provisions or magic, whose attacks on this continent created the virtuous Maw Sea and ended 100,000 lives, have now decided to take everything you and your blood ancestors worked so hard to build. In the silence that followed, the only sound was Chul's disbelieving huff. Due to the interference of the dragon's ally, Lance Arthur Lewin, I blinked, caught off guard by his mention of me. Several people in the room turned to glance in my direction. I was unable to prepare Dicathan for this eventuality, but I will protect Alacria and all who still call themselves loyal Alacrians from the invading dragons. They're not invading, bruh. That's a fucking lie. Agronus' chin was raised, his voice growing louder and more proud as he spoke. With your aid, of course, this continent must stand strong, united, under my authority. Past is the time of Sives and Sovereigns, the dominion of the Vitra clan. Now I, Agrona, shall personally guide you through the dangers to come. His expression softened, and he offered us an understanding smile. No punishment will be dealt to any who participate in this rebellion so long as they lay down their arms and return to their lives immediately. But, as I can accept no internal discord that will weaken us in the face of this enemy, all those who refuse to be dealt with immediately and with prejudice, call on your bloods, your neighbors, your friends, to set aside their petty grievances for now. Tomorrow, we will take a step forward as a nation, unified. Man, the propaganda, yo. God damn. Agrona set his jaw and gave a subtle nod of his head, making the ornaments in his horns sway and sparkle. Then the projection faded, and the crystal went out. Silence followed slowly. The children turned to look at Darren, but he was looking at me. Alaric's gaze was on the floor, a scowl etched into his wrinkled skin. Chul was also watching me as if taking his cue from my reaction. But Sylvie had moved away, her back to the room and her mind closed off. Go on, you lot, Darren said after a minute. No training or chores today. Go enjoy yourself. Briar snorted. Go stew in our existential angst, more like. But she, like the others, did as she was told and shuffled out of the sitting room. Where the housekeeper didn't immediately follow, she was still staring forward at the projection crystal, a stupefied expression on her pale face. Darren rested his hands on her shoulder. I think Soriel? She jumped, and one hand flying to her mouth to hold back a weak scream. Sorry, Master Orden. Excuse me. She got shakily to her feet and hurried from the room. As I watched her go, I considered her going as a message. Not so much the specifics of it, but the intent. How it would affect people. The regular people like Soriel. Interesting that she called you out by name, Darren mused. Oh, he. I said she. Interesting that he. Isn't it crazy that he and she. I just want to kind of say this really quick because I just kind of thought about this. Isn't it interesting, like, how similar men and women are, right? So think about this. Think about how you got X chromosomes and Y chromosomes, right? So women are XX chromosomes and men are XY chromosomes, right? And so if you think about the X, if you take away a part of the X, that one part, you get a Y, which is what the men are, right? So you just take away that one little part, and that's what the man is. But then think about he and she. I know this is completely off topic, but think about he and she. She and he, like literally, they're both same. They're both similar. You just add an S and you get she. Take away an S and you get he. Right? Add a line to the Y, you get an X, which is women. Take away the line, you get a Y, which is men. And then think about female and male. Male and then female. If you take away the fee, you get male. If you add the fee, you get female. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's interesting, man. It's like you just got to take away one part and you get a man, and you add it and you get a woman. I'm just saying. Anyway, where was that? Shit. God damn, did I really go that far? How far did I go? What the hell? Maybe I was talking and I just started scrolling all the way down. Okay, yeah, no punishment. So tomorrow, go on, you lot. The housekeeper, she jumped. Not so much specific. Okay, interesting that he called you out by name, Darren mused. Aligning you with the dragons will help him to turn any popularity you've gathered in Alacria back against you. But why would your people support this snake over the dragons? Chul rumbled. Because there's a bunch of propaganda that was fucking spewed to get people to think that the dragons are the bad people. Even though they are the bad people, but, a bunch of lies have been told. Chul rumbled, running his hand through his orange hair, making the darker shade coil and shimmer like smoke. My clan bears no love for the tyrant Indrath, but he is not worse than Agrona. The devil you know, Alaric answered, his voice a low, tired growl. What better way to make people forget how horribly the Vritra has treated them than the threat of life under the boot heel of another Asuran clan? And you lot, he pointed at my chest with a wrinkled finger, gave him the perfect little pieces of propaganda. He shook his head and tumbled into a chair, fingers kneading his temples. At least this explains the sudden reversal of our fortunes, Darren said, worry clear in his features as he watched Alaric. Agrona must have been planning this move for some time. The assassination of, wait a moment. He gave me a confused look. So he's blaming Exege's death on the dragons? An easy enough thing to do, even if you hadn't taken an actual dragon to the palace to assassinate Exeges. But who actually killed the sovereign then? His focus moved to Sylvie. Lady, forgive me if this is an imprudent question, but is it possible it was your blood, kin, the other dragons? Sylvie shrugged and shook her head at the same time, making her wheat blonde hair bob around her horns. I don't know for sure, but it didn't feel like a dragon had been there. Darren's gaze shifted back to me. Then who do you think? His words were like chum on the churning surface of my thoughts. I had no more idea who could have killed the Sovereign than I had when we first found the corpse. Yeah, I mean, this is another big like mystery that I really like. Like, who the fuck is this fourth party that attacked Agrona Sovereigns? Like, it really is a mystery. No more idea who have killed the Sovereign than I had when we first found the corpse. I felt certain we were only missing some small detail to help us put the pieces together. But why does this mystery draw my mind back to the missing third keystone? I said that shit! No. It was somebody else who said it, but I was like, you know what? I agree with that shit. The person who took the keystone could possibly have some insight, maybe a God room, to be able to, but no, they have to be able to manipulate ether though. But then, maybe they can manipulate ether, like the Jinn. Man, who the fuck is this person? It's gotta be like a group, right? It couldn't just be one person. Why does this mystery draw my mind back to the missing third keystone? Do you think they're linked? Sylvie thought back. I could tell from the tone of her thoughts that she wasn't convinced. Like some third party it's a fourth party. Y'all a party too. You got Arthur and Ceres, they're grouped together. You got Agrona, you got Kezes, and then you got this fourth party. Do you think they're linked? Like some third party who happens to be moving along the same path we are? Sighing, I took the seat across from Alaric and ran a hand down my face tiredly, struggling to think around the scar's itch. I don't know, I said, answering both Sylvie and Darren's questions at once. It's possible, I added mentally to Sylvie. I gasped, drawing worried looks from everyone except Sylvie, who was following along with my thoughts as I had them. All right, Arthur, Darren asked. Wait, all right? That's weird. All right. Not all right, but all right, Arthur, Darren asked. Yes, just never mind, I said, knowing I couldn't explain my thoughts to Darren. Your dream savior from the relic tombs, the voice you heard, your rebirth and change into ether affinity, the fact that you've existed to save my soul before you were born, that's potentially created some kind of paradox, right? What if there really is a third party with Avum Arts involved? Okay. It could be, it could even be us moving through some parallel timeline. What the that's crazy. There's no way, right? It could be them moving through a parallel timeline? That's wild. So what? Now we got like different. No, see now that's got me thinking about fucking. What is it called? The Avengers and like their whole like what is it called? What is it called? The different realms, universes. You got multiple universes and shit, and they're coming into contact with each other and all. No, don't do that shit. That shit's just confusing. I trailed off, feeling Sylvie's thoughts pushing back against my own. The simplest explanation is often the most accurate, she said, quoting some scholar we both learned at Zyra's Academy. Maybe I'm wrong, but the relic, the Sovereign, and my savior don't feel connected. For the sake of argument, though, if we went back into time somehow to claim the relic, then where is it? And if you were set to kill Exeges, why go ahead of yourself and kill him? Because you were fated to fail? Not me, but you? Despite her arguments, I was starting to see a picture more clearly. When your insight into Avon branch of ether became deep enough, maybe you can go back in time and claim the relic. If the battle against Esdras proved too difficult, Cecilia might have gotten the upper hand against me afterwards. And what if the voices you're hearing is your own, messages sent back through time? Sylvie considered for a moment, watching me closely. Have you ever heard of an ether art that allows you to go back in time? Aurora's Requiem can turn back time, I pointed out. That's not the same though, like at all. She gave me a pointed look. What about your time on Earth? Then, watching my life, what was that? So who was talking? What about your time on Earth then, watching my life? What was that if not time travel? She pursed her lips, her skepticism only growing. I couldn't make changes though. You never even knew, well she did though. You literally pulled his soul from going into the body that Agrona originally had and put it into Alice and Alice and, what the fuck is his name? I always forget his dad's name. Alice and Lewin. Fuck, I always forget his dad's name. Anyway, she pursed her lips. Yeah. Darren looked up from his own musing thoughts. Illyria scratched at his beard, but kept his eyes on his belly. Chul cracked his neck and paced across the room. Reynolds! Thank you, Alex. Reynolds. I always forget his name. It's probably because it's been a long time since he's been in the story. There is, however, a short list of those who could have done so. I held up my fist, all fingers curled inward, raising my index finger. I said, another sovereign. Or a dragon, Sylvie said, and I lifted a second finger. The wraiths are trained to kill Asaurus, I said, lifting the third finger. You, Chul said, stopping and cocking his head to the side. But then, I know it wasn't you. The remaining members of my clan gave up long ago on being warriors, but this exorcist did not seem so strong to me either. Mordain or one of the others could have killed him, maybe. Nodding, I lifted my little finger. Agrona, Illyria grunted. Or his pet legacy. Reports from one of my folks on the front lines at Sesklar said the unnatural bitch can suck the mana right out of you. I love the way that they're talking, bro. I let my hand fall as I considered what he said. My eyes touched Sylvie's as I pictured Exege's corpse. Ashen, taut skin, sunken appearance, blind, colorless eyes, like the blood had been drained from his body. But Cecilia seemed just as surprised to find the sovereign dead as we were, Sylvie said, thinking out loud. If she drained him of his mana, she acted her part well. Maybe Agrona was willing to sacrifice Exeges to give Cecilia a power boost for her fight with you? Quietly, I sensed Sylvie's hoping this was the case, and that Cecilia hadn't truly been so strong, had been strong enough to fight us to a standstill all on her own. Let me just read what you're saying real quick. What if the one who took the third keystone is Kara's brother, who is thought to be dead? That would be really interesting, though. But here's my thing, though. But it could. Okay, I kind of like that. I kind of like that theory. Because he said that his mission was to learn more about the ether arts, right? He wanted to learn more about ether. Like he literally tattooed or carved in his blade like the signia or whatever for ether, right? But then what about his blade, his dagger? Why would he leave his dagger in that, the fucking centipede or millipede or whatever? Why would he leave his dagger in the millipede room and not take it with him and keep it with him if it was important to him? Unless he wanted people to think he was dead, just in case they found his dagger and whatever, and he wanted people to think he was dead. So there's that too. But then again, why? Why would he want people to think he's dead? Like for what reason? And then why? I mean, I understand why strike now. You would strike now because of everything that's going on with Arthur. He's a big distraction. But But if he knows that Arthur is trying to hurt Agrona, why wouldn't he reveal himself to try to team up with Arthur if his goal is to bring down Agrona? We don't really know much about her brother at all, honestly. We don't know how strong he was. Karen never mentioned that, like, oh yeah, he was so strong, he beat my ass all the time, or, you know, they never talked about, like, because, you know, her brother was quote unquote, you know, her adopted parents' son. So they never talked anything about, like, oh, you know, we lost such a, you know, extremely powerful kid who had such high potential. He could have been a leader of the house. Like, they never talked about him or referred to him as being, like, very strong or very powerful or anything like that. So I don't know. But I think it's a good idea, though. I think it's a good idea. I think it was Mordain who indirectly assassinated Exeges, most likely through some hidden ether arts. I mean, I guess my question would be, if it was Mordain, what would be his motivation? Why would Mordain sit for all these years, thousands of years, and not interfere, and then now decide to interfere and kill a sovereign? And then by killing the sovereign, what really is he doing? Like, Arthur probably could have killed him himself. So why would he even do something to, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does killing that sovereign do? It doesn't really do anything. Like, Arthur was going to kill him anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's Mordain, but I think that Kara's brother, possibly. I think that's a more likely person who could have been involved. I mean, literally, like, suck the life out of them. Like, that's some crazy ass shit. Anyway, I like the theories. What the fuck is my GPS doing? Stop fucking listening. God, listening to my words and shit, tracking me. Anyway, so let me continue where I was at. So they're talking about the different people it could have been. Agrona, or his pet, you know, his pet legacy. Let my hand fall, yeah. She seemed surprised, just as you were. Strong enough to a standstill. I stood suddenly. We don't know, and we're getting no closer to answers here. We need to return to Ceres. I shot a guilty look at Darren and Alaric. I'm sorry. I wish I could offer more, but no need, Darren said, clapping me on the arm. My home has no direct connection to the rebellion. I'm simply a retired ascender, training a few kids. As for Alaric, he shot the older man another look. He's not really here. And if he was, he's certainly not connected to Ceres' plot. And if he is, I had no way of knowing that. We're just old drinking pals after all. I started to leave the room, but was compelled to stop and offer one last piece of advice. Do what he says. Stop fighting. Send your people home. Let me and Ceres take things from here. In a war between dragons and basilisks, you'll be crushed. Alaric scoffed. Your fault I got dragged back into this in the first place. You and your connection to that scythe. Bah. But I suppose you're right. Never too late to retire for the third time, I suppose. That motherfucker ain't retiring. I smiled, grateful. Goodbye. Darren gave a small wave, but Alaric only wrinkled his nose and resumed staring down at his stomach. I left my companions on my heels and returned to the study where the compass was still waiting. I paused before it, considering. We can't leave it here again. With the Tempest Warp nearly defunct, we might need the compass with us. Moving through the Relatoons is the best way to avoid Agrona's and Kez's perceptive gazes. It might be our only way to get between Alacria and Dicathan moving forward. Any ideas? Sylvie asked, her hand brushing the field of energy surrounding the relic. And we can be certain that Lady Sylvie won't have another fit, Jewel asked, unsubtly looking at her from the corner of his eye. Here's hoping, I breathed. Go through, I'll be right behind you. Sylvie bit her lip. Jewel just shrugged and stepped directly into the portal, and I nodded for her to follow. Sylvie hesitantly did so, vanishing into the shimmering oval hanging in the air. Reaching out, I felt the shape of the portal with my ether. Activating my core sent a deep thrumming ache through my entire body. and intensify the aching sensation from the scar. I mean, I'm guessing he's just not fully healed yet, but there's no way this motherfucker is just so crippled now that every time he uses ether, there's an ache. It just seems like some bullshit. There was a familiarity to the portal's ether that had nothing to do with my having used it before. Curious, I activated wait. There was a familiarity to the portal's ether that had nothing to do with my having used it before. A familiarity. Curious, I activated God Step, seeing the pathways without stepping into them. A confident smirk split my face. Continuing to... What the hell is going on? Continuing to channel God Step, I focused entirely on the portal, listening to its specific resonance among the many other points all around me. When I was certain I had it, Wait. I haven't finished the last part of this. Is this motherfucker is always leveling up, man. Shit's crazy. Did this motherfucker just listen to the ether from the portal to figure out the exact location that the portal was going to go to, and then connected it with his God Step to see exactly where he was going to go, and now he don't need the portal. He can just God Step to the location that the portal was going to take them? Man, this shit is crazy if that's what's about to happen. He was listening to the ether. Bruh. Seeing the pathways without stepping into them, a confident smirk split my face. Continuing to channel the God Step, I focused entirely on the portal, listening to the specific resonance among the many other points all around me. When I was certain I had it, so he had the frequency, I grabbed the compass and deactivated it. He don't need the compass! The effect was immediate. The portal itself began to press inward against my will. But the point in space... The portal itself began to press inward against my will. But the point in space that connected to the lightning bolt pathways sank to me just the same. Waiting only long enough to secure the compass in my dimension room, I stepped through the hole. Wait. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. So he's not using the frequency of the portal to be able to God Step to the place that that the portal was going to go to, but he's using the pathways of God Step to keep the portal open without actually using the actual artifact. So does that mean that he possibly could make his own portals with God Step? Am I understanding this right? Let me know. A confident smirk split my face. I continued to channel God Step. I focused entirely on the portal, listening to the specific resonance among the many other points all around me. So he focused on the portal, trying to figure out the points. The effect was immediate. The portal itself began to... Wait. When I was certain I had it, I grabbed the compass and deactivated. So the compass is deactivated. And normally when the compass is deactivated, the portal shimmers out. It shimmers away. It's gone. The effect was immediate. The portal itself began to press inward. So it was going to press inward to disappear against his will. But the point in space that connected the lightning bolt pathways sang to me just the same. Waiting only long enough to secure the compass in my dimension room, I stepped through the portal. So he kept the portal open using the pathways. That's like the only thing that makes sense to me. That's what I'm getting. God damn. That's wild, man. That's crazy. So this must be like development to him being able to just either make his own portals, because this motherfucker has spatial infinity. So he should either be able to make his own portals or just fucking God Step to places and know where there are based off of, like, I don't know, resonating with the ether and the atmosphere. I don't know. That shit crazy. But let me see what he said really quick. Or maybe Agrona had put a spell similar on Cecilia with the one he had put on Sylvie to control Cecilia and kill Exorcist. I don't think Cecilia had anything to do with Exorcist's death. I mean, I just don't. I just don't. I mean, what would Agrona gain from Exorcist's death? Like, unless he was going to try to power up Cecilia, which is what I had thought. Like, maybe she killed him, and you know he needed her to power up or get some other type of information or some shit. But she was surprised. So I don't think it was Cecilia at all. I think that if anything, he did some shit to Cecilia to make her, like I said, undying loyalty. You know, so where no matter what, she's going to be loyal to Agrona. And you know, I think what he did was he allowed her to be able to get all her memories back and all this other shit, just to give her more trust that, listen, I'm not trying to hide anything from you. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. But she's still gonna have that loyalty in the back of her mind. And by Agrona showing that, like, listen, you have no restrictions, you can do whatever you want to do, I'm not trying to manipulate you, it's gonna get her to even trust him even more. So Agrona, he's a psychological wizard. But anyway, I don't think it's Kara's brother. Remember the Jinn remnant that long ago? So it could be many years back. Remember? Yeah. He did. Yeah, that Jinn remnant did say it would happen long ago. Like, it's been a long time since he like awoken again. So it could have been many years back. But then again, how long ago did her brother die? Like, her brother died. I mean, he was older than her, so I mean, even if it was many years back, I mean, it could have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't think he was 10 years older than her. I don't know. It's still a possibility, even though it's not likely. Remember, Mordane is a seer to, so mostly he saw something in Arthur's future and took. See, I don't know, man. Like, he can predict some shit. He can see things and stuff like that. We don't really know to what extent he can like see things, but it just, I don't know. I mean, I think if Mordane was gonna help, I think he would have said something or done some type of deal with Arthur when he met him. I don't think it was Mordane, but I don't know who else it could be though. It could be a Jinn. Like, it could be a Jinn child, you know, because we know that the Jinn, they had offspring with the Phoenixosaurs, right? That's how they was able to keep their seed going. And then they also got offspring from the humans, because the humans got, they got people who can use healing magic, which is, you only can use healing magic when you're a remnant of the Jinn, a relative of the Jinn. So they had to have repopulated in the humans, to a small degree, right? So I think whoever this person is, I think that they're connected to the Jinn. That's my prediction. I mean, it could be Kara's brother. Maybe he's connected to the Jinn. No, I doubt that, just because of everything that happened with Alacrian. I think whoever it is connected to the Jinn. That's what I think. But that's it though. Next chapter, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. So I'll go live again tomorrow. It'll be sometime in the afternoon. So I guess kind of consider that. It'll be probably sometime like I'll say between like 5 and 7 Eastern Standard Time is what I would say. But yeah, so let's check out where we're gonna go from here. He's going back to Ceres. So see if Sarah's been up to anything. I mean, Arthur hasn't been gone that long. He hadn't been gone for like a day, maybe 2 days. So I don't think that much might have happened. But I appreciate the likes, you guys. I got a couple likes. I appreciate y'all liking the video. Try to keep this going. I'm not done with T-Bay. I do want to continue making more videos about other stuff, So I'm still thinking about that. I just don't know how I would do it, because I'll be on the road a lot, and I don't be having the best internet on the road. So appreciate y'all watching, and I'll check you out in the next video. Peace.